I'm here with Courtney from
What
Lost.
up, what up, what up?
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
So I recorded a few solo potties the other day.
Oh.
And then while I was doing this, I'm like, I think we've joked about, you just have to be like the co-host. Like we just need to have it on the schedule where like I talk about things and you're here just so I don't have to hear myself talk as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
like,
then it's like you're not losing your mind in the basement.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. And we're going to be each individually losing our mind a little bit. I'm legit going on 3 hours of sleep last night, 2 hours the night before.
And I'm stoned.
And you're stoned. So see, this is why this works, because it's like just
I legit on my way here, I told Isaac, I was like, I am going to smoke weed in your establishment before this podcast.
Yep. If you're listening to this, and you work for the city or something, she did it outside.
Yeah, I was outside. It was 9 feet away from the building.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was good. Okay, so a lot of things that we want to talk about today.
Yes.
First one is there is this thing that you did and the Toronto Half Marathon.
Just a little something.
Little something. And then we're going to talk about our London Run Club and just some like little changes that we're making to it, which I'm really, really excited about. And then we're going to talk about just like this weird like shoulder season is what a lot of people call it, where it's like you don't necessarily have a race that's super close that you're training for. You're kind of just like out there, like what should my training look like? Should I just be doing this for fun? So we're going to talk about that because I think we're both sort of living that life. And then I'm sure there'll be some other little ramblings in between.
Yeah, and probably like 8 side quests.
Oh, 100%. Before, though, real quick. So this past weekend, I did the little run parlor Santa run thingamabob at the Santa Claus Day Parade. And so it was supposed to be a run. I don't know if Emily has talked to you about this yet.
I heard that it was a walk.
Okay, so.
Suckers.
I know. It was supposed to be a run. And then what happened was, like, they're like, okay, yeah, so you have to run behind the flag bearers and behind the police escort. And we're like, so if you're a flag bearer, you're walking. So what do you mean we're going to run? So anyways, I felt really bad for Heather at Run Parlor because, like, you think you put on these events, and we know what it's like. Like, that to be thrown in last minute. Yeah. You're like, what the hell? So anyways, we ended up just walking, but it was like top 5 moments of my life.
I did hear like a lot about it and just like how much the kids were loving it.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
Like just, so we're walking, and because we're at the front of the parade, people have been waiting for a long time.
Yeah.
So when they see you, it's like the start of the parade.
So
they're so excited.
Oh.
And like you would like make eye contact with kids, be like, whatever, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. And their face would light up.
Yeah.
So they're like, someone in the parade is like looking at me.
Yeah, you're like a celebrity.
Oh, there was kids that were giving their letter to Santa to Scott, who was dressed up like an elf.
Stop.
We had one of the ladies that was dressed up as Mrs. Claus. And okay, her outfit was amazing.
Yeah, it was sick. I did see that.
Oh, and like watching little girls look at her, it was the cutest thing because it was such like a pure reaction. They're like, this is legit Mrs. Claus. Like their eyes light up.
Oh, totally. Like I remember being a child and going to Westmount Mall and being like, I met fucking Santa tonight. And like, people aren't going to believe this.
Yeah.
You're not going to believe this shit.
It was very, very cute. So
I love that.
I'm like, we 1,000% have to do that again next year.
Oh, totally. And like, not to call out London, but to call out London, their parades tend to be a little chaotic. And I think there's room to grow. I think that like, especially like with Pride as well, like it's getting bigger and bigger, which is like the dream. But it just means we need like a different level of like logistical planning. But I did think about that because I was like, well, if you're behind a cop car, like, is the cop car going to be going at like a 6-minute kilometer pace? Like, what does this look like? So, but I'm glad it turned into like just a fun, you know.
For sure. I'm really happy. Like if next year they make it work where we could run, I'd actually not want to. Like I would want it to be exactly like this year. Yeah. Because if you were to run, they're like confused, like what's happening right now?
Or you do the run like separate, do it before.
Yeah. Yep.
And then you walk when you're all like like goofed up and happy and endorphin. Like that could be really cool too.
It was fantastic though. So
I love that.
Heather, if you're hearing this from Run Parlor, like very, very good job putting on that event. And also, if you're hearing this and you need a new pair of shoes or want to check out some cool running gear, go check out Run Parlor. Ding. This is not a sponsored podcast.
You're like, welcome to Squarespace.
Use code Court Isaac.
Yeah.
Something. All right. Toronto.
1:37:11. Motherfuckers. That's my last time I'll mention it this year.
No, it's not.
I know.
That's not even going to be your last time you mention it in the next 5 minutes.
I need to preface this by saying that, like, as someone, I know that people could so easily call me out for being like, I'm very, very much a supporter of like run to have fun and like do this at your own pace. So I understand how like conflicting it is that I'm literally shoving my race time down every single person's throat. But those who know me well, and I guess now our listeners, would know that like I had set the goal last year that I wanted to run my first half that I hadn't ran in like 7 years, and then get that crazy idea to do it also the fastest. So I am like 95% like run in a way that makes you just feel good.
Absolutely.
And then that extra 5% is preserved for like using everything I've been through in a year to bottle it into my goddamn feet and run the fastest race of my life.
Yeah. No, and you know, I always say too, so I had a lot of people doing their first marathon.
Yeah.
And if it's someone doing their first marathon, I'm like, don't put any stress on yourself. Go out there, experience it, have fun. And then if eventually you're like, yeah, I want to try to run a certain time, I don't think there's anything wrong with having goals. But like, you know, if you want to just enjoy running for the fact of enjoying running, like all the power to you. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
But you should be able to fucking say you ran a 1:37:11 because you worked hard for it too.
I did. And honestly, going into it, it was the first race that I've done where I was like, I'm pretty sure I can do this, but like, I don't know. Because like, I, up until that point, had not held like anything less than a 4:44 for longer than say like 10 kilometers or so. And even on the days that I did that, I usually slipped slower and was like, I can't do this. So literally race day, I was like, all I need to do is get to a fast pace and just like fucking hold it. Yeah. And that's all I did. I just got the momentum going and I just like stayed in my lane and I just kept like breathing and talking to myself and being like, you're just going to crush these kilometers, let the kilometers go by, keep the pace. And a couple of times I wanted to cry. Like when we were out on Lakeshore, I think it was like this remix of Say My Name, Florence and the Machine. And like, it was just like, say my name. And I'm just like, oh, like about to cry. Like, I'm just so like, ah. And then I was like, calm yourself down. You need this energy to get in there. And then it was around like 19, 20K that like the energy under the bridge was just so insane. I was like bawling. People were like, you can do it. Yeah. And I just like booked it through the finish. And I just remember being like, I know I hit my time because I never saw anything past 4:44 or whatever, my time that I had written on my mirror for the entire year. And so I knew I had hit the goal, but I didn't know how well until you texted me and was like, you fucking crushed it. And I think I wrote back, did I win?
Which is also funny, like, how different we are.
Yeah.
Because I know down to a millisecond while I'm running how close I am to my goal time, whereas you finish like, did I do good?
Yeah.
Like, is this good? Like,
actually, I literally was like, if anyone's seen Grandma's Boy when he does like the Dance Dance Revolution and he's like, is that good? What does high score mean? Like that was my response because it was the one race where I was like, I want that moment to be able to brag and be like, I never fucking thought I could do that either.
Yeah.
And when I brag about this goal, I really like to remind people that like that brag is for me. In no way does it have anything to do with anyone else. Like if someone does their half in like 2:02, 2:20, 2:40, like I am equally happy for them because we all fucking ran 21.1 kilometers.
100%.
There's no way around that. Yep. Whether mine was fast, whether someone's was slower, whether someone's was like even faster than mine, like that, none of that really matters at the end of the day. We all did the same distance and we all had an experience of starting something and finishing something.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
100%. And, you know, I think one thing I've learned with having a goal and then reaching that goal.
Yeah.
When you reach that goal, it's not like, okay, it's done. And like you're happy, but you're happy for like a minute. And then you're like, okay, like that's cool. Like I ran that
back
fast.
to life. Yeah.
Right? Like I think it's the same thing when, you know, if you have like a weight loss goal.
Yeah.
You realize when you hit that goal, you're like, oh, I'm not like this I'm not to say I'm not happy now, but like you're not. You can't just rely fully on the goal. That's why you have to
100%.
enjoy the process of running, whatever that looks like for you.
100%. And like we had like people within our community that didn't have the best race, or, you know, race day, anything can happen. Maybe your like nutrition didn't time well, or there was like an issue with like start times got delayed for the Red Corral. So like everyone in the Red Corral started later. So then everyone who like was starting had to pee again. And it was just like fucking chaos. And those are things about race day that you can just happen, you know? Right. So it's such an experience, but I loved just seeing people in the crowd and like, I don't know. It was such an exhilarating experience when I was walking through the finish line. Noah Khan, The View Between Villages came on, which is like such a good fucking song. And I just started sobbing and was like, oh my God, it's over. Like, I can't believe it's already over. It's wild.
Yeah, no, you honestly, you should be very, very proud of yourself.
Thank you.
Especially, you know, just to say it again, like you put in the work.
It was a hellish nightmare of a year to get there.
Yeah, right. And there was a lot of shit that came up that like you just persevered through. So for me, the race is like the celebration, right?
It
like
is.
that's like the party.
Yes.
But like everything leading up to it, that's where the real work happens.
100%.
Right?
Your training is always going to be harder than the race.
Yeah.
Because the race is just one day.
Yeah.
Right. And like, it's cool. I have been preaching running to basically anyone because I want other people to feel that experience of like accomplishing something that's so scary. And a race is such a good way to do it because when you sign up, there's usually a thought in your head that's like, I don't know if I can do this, or this is going to be really fucking hard, or, you know, whatever, like what's it going to take to get there? So then being able to do that and be on the other side of it, like I want everyone to experience that, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, you weren't the only person that had a great race there. A lot of, you know, some of the other members of LRC that did it, like smashed it.
Yes.
And I think, you know, going back to time, for me anyways, I don't like whoever ran the fastest. It's not like to me, I'm most excited for them.
Yeah.
There were some runners that ran their first halves and like completely surprised themselves. Like to me, that's where I'm like, oh my God.
Yes.
What's so powerful about that energy
Yeah.
is I know now they have the bug, and this is going to be something that they continue to do, which is good because it's like it's good for you, right? Like it's a form of fitness. It's a form of, you know, heart health. Like it's going to help you. So I get excited when people find a love for a style of fitness that they can sustain for long periods of time. Because that, at the end of the day, is what it's all about as well, right? Our health.
Yeah. And it looks so different. Like, I like to remind people that you don't have to be the athlete that's wearing like $1,000 friggin' dollars in like the most high-tech gear. You have every kind of heart rate monitor, VO2 max like you don't need any of that to run. And people need to remember that when they go to a race and they see the motherfucking Kenyans coming in with nothing but a singlet and they're like tiny little shorts and running shoes, and that's it.
Yeah.
And they're just sending it. So it's just like, don't worry about what other people are doing the same way we don't worry about what other people are doing like day to day for the most part. Obviously we do, but like it also comes down to your training. There could be someone wearing like a $400 pair of shoes that's running the same pace as you.
Yeah.
You know, like it doesn't fucking matter.
No, for sure. It's all about the training that you put into it.
Yes.
Cool. I don't want to brush past this accomplishment, but
it's time.
But is there anything else that you want to bring up about 1:37:11?
How do you not know this by now? But you know what? We're good. I feel like the bragging has been nice.
Yeah.
I've reminded a lot of people.
Yeah, don't stop now.
So you know what? It's good. And to be fair, I forewarned people that I'm pretty sure we could circle back to a previous podcast where I said, if I achieve this goal, you will hear about it.
For sure. And I'm not going to lie. It would be cool if I can be like, and this is where you said it. It's not going to happen.
No, we're not going to do that.
But
we're
I
not
trust
that
you.
obnoxious.
No. We're not that high tech yet.
But alas, moving on.
Yes. And I think this is kind of a good segue to talk about just some potential changes that we're looking at doing within our little London Run Club community. So the way that Run Club got started, first off, it was COVID times, and
oof,
yeah, the we don't want to talk about those crazy times, but we couldn't necessarily do fitness in our gym.
Yeah,
but we wanted to keep a portion of our community alive, so we started to do Run Club because it was outside, it was still getting people together, and there was nothing about races or times or anything. It was literally just about like the community coming together and staying strong. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just for movement strength members, but we called it the Movement Run Club because it made sense at the time. Fast forward a few years later, people still really wanted to come out and run. So like we just kind of kept on doing it under the umbrella of Movement Run Club until this past year where I'm like, do you know what? Even though it's open and free to everybody, I want to change the name because I think there's still this idea of like, well, I have to be a Movement Strength member to come to Movement Run Club. And I can understand why people would think that. So we changed the name to LRC or London Run Club. And the reason that we chose that was because it's for the London community. Like it is open and free to everybody. And since we've made that change, it's definitely grown. Like our numbers week to week are a lot more stable than they were in the past, which is great.
Yeah.
But I think it's still started to become more about training for specific races.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but it could be a little bit intimidating for some of those people out there that literally are just looking for like a running community to maybe just go to once a week.
Yeah.
They're not trying to do a half marathon or a 10K or a 5K or a marathon, whatever. Like they literally just want to get out of the house and maybe learn to run.
Yes.
So now what we're potentially looking at doing is rather than having this like, hey, we're going to come out to Run Club, you're going to run these fartleks or these intervals, it's literally going to just be like a fixed distance that can start as little as 2K, maybe it's 2K, 5K, 8K, and there'll be certain sort of like loops around the gym that will bring you to like on the TVP. So it's just a lot more accessible and open to people. And you don't need to have any sort of goal. You don't need to be a runner. Like this is literally just a way of us trying to increase that running community in London. And if one day that person decides like, you know what, I want to try to do the 4-city 5K, cool. Yeah. But that doesn't have to be the goal.
Yes. I think it's important to like, create a space for people who just want to fun run, you know, like that's what it needs to be, I think, at its core. And then have those like branches off of like, if you want to full fucking send, this is when you can do it. Yeah. And it just like allows people, I think what happens a lot in the fitness industry is we get people to a place where we're all kind of on a similar level, and then it's very easy to forget about all the people who are just starting.
Yeah.
And part of being leaders in the fitness industry is being pros at being able to restart over and over and over and over again with new people because we have the experience to like guide them, you know? So it does. It kind of comes back to being like, we're not using our whole brains if we're not welcoming new people, because like the people who now know what they're doing don't need us to tell them what to do, in a sense.
Yeah.
We need to be able to be the cheerleaders for the people who are terrified to go park their car and run with these people, you know?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So there'll be more information coming on like what that's going to look like and all that good stuff. But for right now, know that that's definitely something that we're going to be doing.
Yes.
And if you are an existing LRC member, you know, nothing really needs to change for you. We're still going to have bits. Like if you do have a race that you want to do, cool. Talk to me and we can talk about like creating a plan for that. And I think that's an important bit too, is if someone does want to go out there and run a 5K or 10K, for sure. Like there's a ton of plans out there. You can do it on your own. But when it comes to running like a half marathon or a marathon, I'm always a fan of like at least following something loosely.
Yes.
Because you don't want to go out on race day unprepared and hurt yourself. Like,
yes.
That is what it's about for me, is like safety, where I think sometimes people are like, oh yeah, I can probably just go out and run a marathon in a day.
Literally, it's a bad thing we're seeing.
Yeah.
out there. But it is good to have a plan. It also keeps you accountable
100%.
rather than like, even myself as like now a pretty avid runner, like there are still many days where it's hard for me to get out the door. But if I at least have a general idea of what I want to hit in a week, then it allows me to kind of either be like, you know what, I am going to take today as a rest day and I'll do it tomorrow or whatever. But if you're just kind of waking up being like, should I run today or not? It does kind of leave a little bit more room to either overtrain or like get injured, things like that. Because I say that not so much worried about people not having enough motivation to run. I say it more worried that people are going to be like, I felt good today, so I went and did 18K.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I used to do.
Yeah. No, and I'm like, so this is, this is the shoulder season. Is what a lot of runners call it, which is like, there's not a lot of races coming up. So you don't necessarily need to be putting in crazy miles right now.
Yes.
Which, use this time to like, get back in the community, go to Backroads for their fun run, go to Run Parlor for their fun runs, come to LRC, like do these things and like get back out there in the community.
Yes.
Don't stress about like, all right, I need to be hitting 60 kilometers every single week. Cause like realistically you don't, because there's still a lot of time before things like Chili Half or Around the Bay or Mississauga Marathon, Half Marathon. Like those races eventually come, but they're so far away.
Yeah.
That like you don't need to be so hardcore with your training right now. Like enjoy this off season.
And this like started because when I got here this morning, I was like, oh, you know what? I'm in this weird place where like we're done the race. We're like now actually a month where the race was a month ago now. So the past month for me has been really hard to, I guess, like figure out what the fuck I'm doing, if I'm being honest, because like I got so used to my plans of running and now I've found, if I'm being honest, the past month was really hard for me to loosen the reins because I was like, well, I've been doing so well. Like I got to keep this momentum going. And then, coming here this morning, I was like, but my next race is March 30th. So like, I'm not going to start training for that till like January, even mid-January. So this is my potentially only time to really be chill about it and just have fun with it. So even myself as like someone who is very active, like I have to remind myself too, like chill the fuck out. Like you don't have a race coming up. If you want to run as slow as possible, you can. If you want to not run at all, you can. So if people are feeling that way out there, hopefully this can be kind of like a reminder to yourself that like you can chill.
Yeah.
Be chill.
Absolutely. Give
Smoke
yourself permission.
a joint.
Yeah. Or drink water, whatever you want.
I said, get that fucking H2O propaganda out of here.
Yeah, sorry. No, for sure. And I think, this is where I'm a fan of having a plan, or at least like, okay, we're going to start, if you have a race on the schedule. And once again, you don't need to. If you're literally just doing these things for fun, don't stress about it. But if you're doing these things for fun, don't have a time that you want to hit either, because those are two different things.
Yes.
But if you do have goals or like a plan, I do think it's important to have an idea of when you want to start your training again, because a lot of the times this is where people start to get really injured.
Yes.
Is they do take some time off right now, which is great. But then they're like, all right, I'm going to start mid-January. And what do? Mid-January, they start at 40 kilometers a week again. And it's like, no. You have to build up slowly, right?
Yes.
So it's like you can't just jump in right where you left off when you were peaking for your half marathon training or marathon training. Yeah. That's when you're going to blow your shit up. So
that's a huge reminder.
Oh, 100%.
That was so real.
Yeah. So if you do have these races that you have planned out, like this is where having a coach or having a plan is really, really important.
Yes. And have the friends, if you're this is just like my personal opinion, of course, but I feel like you're going to agree with this, even though we don't agree on a lot. Yep. But have the friends in your corner that when you need to be in a bit of your like soft girl era, taking care of yourself, resting a little bit more, going to yoga maybe more than like your strength and spin classes, reach out to those friends who are going to support that lifestyle. This is not the time to reach out to your most hardcore friends, because like that's not what you need, So sometimes I have to like myself dial back, because I also don't want to be that person that's like pushing so hard that I'm stressing someone else out, even though it's like my own world. So just remember that like everyone's journey is different and like lean on each other. Like, especially with women, we tend to overdo it. And it can be so helpful to just like tell your girlfriends, like, it's okay if you're taking today off. And like, I'm going to take today off too. Like, it honestly goes so far.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree.
Wow. Look at us.
Yes. And, you know, so talking about that individual that does have some things on the calendar, I would also recommend looking at your year, or one thing, this is where me and you are a little bit different, but like looking at like even your 2-year plan when it comes to running. I know.
Ew.
Reason for that is it's just in terms of level of intensity.
Yes.
So for someone like yourself, you want to do ATB, aka around the bay, 30K. So if you want to do around the bay, but then you also in the back of your mind are like, I want to do a marathon in October as well, that changes things up. Because now, realistically, we have, if you have 3 races in a year, you have your A race, your B race, and your C race. So there's the one you care about the most, middle, and then least. So if ATB is actually your C race, then we don't really realistically even need to start amping up your training until blank day. Because if you're trying to prime for October, then like we need to go through these ups and downs, right? You can't always be just like, okay, 10 kilometers, 20, 30, 40, 50,
it's true.
and it builds. It's like you go up to 40, you come down to 20. You go up to 50, you come down to 40. Like it's like these slow waves of building.
It's true. You kind of have to look, like at your year ahead. I've even been saying this to my like runner girlfriends. Like we got to like kind of see where everyone's head's at, especially if you're traveling for races, because that can also help you get an idea also of when you want to train. So for example, like I was talking to my buddy in the West Coast and he was like, we should do a half in May. And I was like, well, I got to figure out my race plans because I'm in the lottery for Chicago. We'll see what happens. And he made such a good point. And I was like, okay, I'm going to say this on the podcast. But he was like, no. He's like, I'm not doing anything in the fall. And I was like, well, why not just do like sign up for it too? And he's like, no, you know what? He's like, I value my summer so much that he's like, I want to be done all my fucking training, all of that, and just use the summer to like live, laugh, love. And I was like,
live, laugh, love.
Whoa. I don't even think he said that. That's my interjection.
No. 100% he didn't say that.
But I was like, that's so cool that you're able. He was like, I'm going to hit it hard over the winter. I'm going to race, you know, maybe early, do like a winter run, a winter race, a spring race, and then like be all wrapped up and done by June. And I was like, yeah. Like true. Training in the summer kind of fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Like when it's like 35 degrees and, you know, like, so I like that reminder that like you are the director of your own life. If you don't want to race in the fall, you literally don't have to. If you don't want to race at all, you literally don't have to. And I think sometimes we need to just like remind ourselves that.
And a big distinction, there's racing and there's running.
Yeah.
And I think this is a thing that we need to wrap our head around as well is, okay, so I have Boston in April. I am running Boston. I am not racing Boston.
Yeah.
I have Chicago potentially in October. That might be what I'm racing. So it's like if you want to do Forest City Half Marathon, which you can sign up for now, I think that's in June. You don't have to race that. You can literally, that could be a fun run where like, hey, do you know what? I'm actually going to run that with Courtney and we're going to do it together and we're going to be like giving high fives and stuff like that. Or maybe I have someone that's doing their first half and they need some support. So it's like, you can run some of these races in a sense. Yeah. And you can race some of these races. Just have fun.
Literally. Yeah.
And if you're, you know, so if you're thinking of, so where we need to change our mindset and shift some things. If you've never done a 5K or a 10K, I say race loosely just because that's what they're called. If you've never done a 5K or a 10K race, you aren't going to be racing your first 5 or 10K. You are going to be running it. You're literally just looking to complete it.
100%.
So don't be intimidated by the fact that it's a race.
Yeah.
You don't need to win, right?
No.
You're literally just running it to have that experience, to like, you know, check mark that little bucket list that you have on there.
Totally.
So, like don't be intimidated by a race. You could literally just run.
And it's yours. Like you get to do whatever you want with it. I used to do cycling races and I never raced them. I just was like, I'm there for the distance. Yeah. Like one of them was like 75 kilometers. I'd never done that. So for me, I was like, my goal is finishing. Like to this date, I have no idea what I did it in because I didn't care. I was like, the goal for me is getting through this ride without like popping a tire and like kind of looking like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you get to choose, which was like also a thing we had been talking about is the perception of fitness and just like some of the, I don't know, toxic things we're seeing in I guess social media related to fitness in general. And one thing I can confirm that we're seeing a little too much of is just like downplaying how difficult something is. If I see one more fucking video of like, come run a half marathon with me, where we're shortening an experience into like 30 seconds of just like putting glitter in our hair and like smiling with our friends and running, like, show me the part where you almost shit yourself, first of all. You know, like, show me your next day when you can't even put on your socks. Like, I just think we're really, like social media does, we're only showing the highlights of these things, which is becoming dangerous for people because it's not giving an accurate depiction. Same thing with cycling classes. I know people can see tons of content of like choreography in a room and da-da-da-da-da, and it looks so fun. But then we're not asking ourselves, like, is my cardiovascular strength in a place to be doing this?
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thoughts, go.
No, it drives me crazy where it's like, I'm going to see if I can run a marathon without training.
Yes.
Like, okay. Like, I've said this before where, like, I do believe a lot of people out there who, you know, go to Lost, go to Movement Strength, they can probably go out there and run a marathon or a half marathon with little to no training.
Yeah.
But why?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is the juice worth the squeeze there? Like,
yes.
Are you going to really fuck up your hips or your knees or your feet? And now you can't do the things you love for months and months because you're trying to rehab this injury that you got from doing something that was kind of stupid.
Yes. And we have to remember, I remember hearing this on a podcast once, and it's always stuck with me that like people are showing their best shit online, and only people who feel confident enough in what they're doing are sharing that online. So most people are not sharing anything. So any given day, we're only seeing like content produced by people who feel, you know, confident or brave enough to share their shit online. So we are seeing a lot of like elite runners sharing like, come run a race with me, or people that have enough financial backing or reputation to have the support to pull these things off, you know? So I think we have to remember that like social media is a highlight reel, and there's so many people who aren't posting content that's important. So it's just remembering like you have to be the vouch of your own body and like what you can physically do. But like, we got to stop making people believe that doing these things is so easy, because it is like, it's going to get people hurt. And we saw a lot of people collapse in the race. There was a lot of people who collapsed this year, and I don't want to shy away from saying that because that is the reality. And I couldn't help but think it was because people see this content of being like, how hard can it be?
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Yeah. And once again, this is where it's like, I really believe people need to have a program, have a plan, have like a coach that you can kind of talk to so you can control the variables that you can control.
Yeah.
'Cause it's like nutrition. If you've never really run a marathon or a half marathon and you have no idea what nutrition looks like, that might mean you bonk at some point during that race, or you're not stopping at every hydration station. You're not having enough sodium. Like, if you're talking to someone beforehand, like they can kind of guide you in that right direction. 'Cause you do see it all the time. Like, I remember when I did my first marathon in Toronto, I think it was like, so obviously 42 kilometers left, there was 800 meters left in the run. Okay. 800 meters. And people are dropping.
That's my worst fear.
I know.
Being that close.
Absolutely. So in the back of my mind, what I'm always thinking while I'm running is like, okay, I don't want to celebrate too soon.
No.
Because you legit have no idea.
Anything can change. That's why when I was crying, I was like, lock it up.
Yes.
You know?
And then even like, you might feel good now, but you still need to prepare for, 2 hours from now. So it's like, I'm not thirsty at kilometer 5.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have some water at this hydration station and some Noon or Gatorade or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I know future Isaac is going to thank me for this.
You have to literally be thinking of future self all the time.
Yes.
Which is hard for someone like me because I'm just like, live in the now and like
live, love, laugh.
Yeah. And so you really have to think of future self.
Yeah.
And I think too, like, this could just be my stoner thoughts, but I think that there's a huge thing with our society, definitely with like anxiety and depression and these things like not going anywhere. We're getting better at working through those things, but I think in relation to anxiety, we're seeing more of this like, I don't want to be the person that has to like bail out of this, or like I might need to leave this class, but I'm going to stay in here till I feel fucking sick kind of thing. Like we're seeing more of that, I think now, because it's all related, right? We're seeing content of like people doing 1 million spin classes in a week. So then someone new to spin might be like, well, this person's doing like 8 classes a week, so I should be at least able to do 4. And then 4 might be way too many for them. And then it's just this spiral. So I think, like I've always said, comparison is the thief of joy, which it is. Figuring out like what works for us, but then also being okay to like take the fucking L if you need to. If something doesn't feel right, get yourself out of there. Like if I was absolutely about to pass out in a hot yoga class, I would leave the class, you know? So
I have a question on that.
Yeah.
Because I like legit, this is something I really struggle with. But let's say, I'm just going to talk about running because that's the world I know, but it could be anything.
Yeah.
So you've never ran a marathon.
No.
And you're going to run a marathon.
We'll see.
Well, no, sorry, this is a hypothetical.
Oh, I was like, I don't know.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. Okay, hypothetical. Yes.
So when you're at kilometer 37, you don't know what it's going to feel like. And you're like, I feel horrible.
Yes.
How do you know when to stop and when to keep going? That's something I always like, because like I 100% agree. There's some people in whatever doing a class where I'm like, they need to slow down.
Yes.
And I think sometimes like, I don't know if like, I don't want people to quit on themselves when things starts to get hard, because sometimes you just need to push through the shit.
Yes.
However, there is a point where you do need to stop. And this is where it's like, once again, with coaching, like if I'm coaching a class, I can tell when someone's not doing great.
Yes.
And me as a coach will go up to them being like, yo, I know you might think this is a normal feeling. Yeah. It's not. Like, you need to stop now, right? So it's like, I don't know. It's really hard advice to give of like, hey, stop when it hurts. Because it's like, well, what is hurt? My hurt's different than your hurt.
It's true. And there's a difference between, like lifting weights, running, doing a spin class, things like that. I think my perspective when I'm speaking on this is more like from that intensity cardio perspective, that like when you're doing something where your heart rate is really high and you're getting that like, feeling in your face, and if it doesn't feel right, that's when I would say call it. You have tomorrow. You have the next day, But I get what you're saying. Like, you also don't want to be like, ooh, I feel a little shitty, I should stop. But I think it's a reminder that like we know our bodies, and when it's something like, a race, like if I was in a race and I started to feel shit around like 20 kilometers, I'm finishing the race. Yeah. I might look bad when I finish the race.
I might shit my pants.
I might be covered in feces coming across that finish line, but I will finish because it's a race. But if I'm in like a class, or like I've been to a strength class before where they were like, you're going to jump on this box jump, and then when you jump down, you're going to like twist and you like kind of like half turn in the air. And I straight up was like, no.
That sounds crazy. Yeah.
Like, I'm not doing that. Mm-hmm. So you just have to, I think it's more just like trusting yourself, but also if you do have something go not well, like say you do have to leave one of our classes because like you're hot, or your what am I trying to say? Heart rate is too high today or whatever, then in something that's like a 50-minute class, just take the L.
Yes.
Yep.
No, I agree.
Like if it's just a class or it's one program out of your week, take the L.
100%.
But yes, that being said, it's learning to like push it slowly. Yeah. Where we're not gonna like stay in the room if we're like, I don't want to be a pussy, like no.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good a good differentiator is like what we're doing 99% of the time is training.
Yes.
Right. And if you're training, you don't need to go in this super dark cave, the pain cave, right? Like there might be some individuals that never, ever have to go in that pain cave, and that's okay. But yeah, I do think it's okay that sometimes we need to do hard shit.
Yes.
But if this is literally just for health or for fun, listen to your body.
Yeah.
And I think that's like one thing we talk a lot about at Movement Strength is like this like health spectrum, right? Like if we're the crazy fit people like the Olympians, they're actually not very healthy.
Yeah.
Right? They're going in the pain cave a lot, but that's not sustainable long term. Whereas if our goal at the end of the day is to live healthy in terms of heart health, our body being healthy, our mind, like all that kind of stuff, we just got to move. You know what I mean? If you're really tired or you're having a shitty day, stop. It's okay.
And like find peace in knowing that like coming back, I find what I say like often to my staff too is like we have to come back to who we are. Like, you know, like if I take even a week off of fitness, it doesn't make me not a strong person. You know, like it's just like in order to be great at things, we do need that balance. And I think that like, I mean, I've been saying this for years, but you're going to go a lot further doing a little bit of something more often than trying to like pack and load things into like short times. Because if you're able to say like, there's people who do like 5Ks every day and that's all they ever do. And to me, I'm like, I would die if I did 5K every day. Like my legs would just be wrecked because I need to like have that balance. But if you find something that's working for you and you love it.
Absolutely.
Then that should be more important, right?
100%. 100%. Shameless plug because we don't talk like at Movements, we don't really talk much about our programming, which like we're starting to change now. Like in terms of we have to talk about it more. When I think of like the levels of intensities, because this is one thing Coach Will was talking a lot about is like creating programs that hit different energy systems. When we think about like people going in the pain cave and stuff like that, it kind of teaches them what that looks like. So, and this is really hard for some individuals coming from other gyms because there are a lot of spaces where it's like it's an on and off button and that's it. Like you go or you stop. Whereas here, it's like some days people are going to come in and they're going to be like, I feel like this was a really, really easy class. And that is by design. It's the same thing with running. I have everyone do zone 2 running and they're like, this is so boring. It seems so easy. And that's training a different energy system. Yeah. But then there's going to be some times where it's like, yo, we got to go and like do some shit and we're doing some fartleks and then you hate me. And like that is a different style of energy, different energy system that we're going after. So I think, you know, sometimes having that built into programs, it's the same thing with spin classes. If you think about it, right? You're not sprinting for 50 minutes in the class. No. Sometimes there's climbs, sometimes there's slow bits, right? Like that, it's all sort of built into good programming.
Totally.
So that's the other bit where it's like, if you're just going to go out and sprint 5Ks every single day, like you're training one portion, but like there's more of a holistic approach as well.
And it will get so boring. But I was also going to say with the pain cave reference, like, I will say, like, I'm all about, you know, taking care of yourself and listening to your body and rest and recovery. However, I will say, if you have some life that comes down and life's all over you, life's in your face, get your ass in the pain cave. Don't take your shit out on everyone around you. It's going to be hard not to do that. I definitely had a year of being like, the inner urge to not rip throats, like MacGruber. That's a MacGruber reference.
Wow. I don't know if a lot of people are going to know that one.
MacGruber?
Yeah, dude, come on.
Oh.
All right. We'll see.
We'll see.
Comment below.
Okay. Yeah, comment below if you know MacGruber. Anyway, but yeah, so I think there's a time and a place for the pain cave. Like, I think we know that a lot of long distance runners, often we can be traced back to like some kind of perhaps trauma or some life event that, you know, led you to this place. So to me, there is at times, like if you just get life handed to you, whatever that looks like, job loss, marriage, you know, friendships, losing someone you care about, death, all these things, and you just feel so like fucked in the world, get in that pain cave. You're going to learn a lot about yourself. And what I mean by that is just like dive into something you haven't before and like maybe let it suck for a bit, because like the feeling that you'll have pushing in that era of your life will never surmount to be the pain that you feel in that like moment outside of your life. So I think it just helps us feel human, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That felt deep.
That was deep.
I'm sweating.
There's this really good book by, I think his name's Michael Easter, called The Comfort Crisis. It's a similar sort of idea where it's like we just need to do things that make us feel uncomfortable every once in a while. And that doesn't necessarily mean doing a marathon, doing a really hard fart. Like it could be like going for a walk when it's cold outside.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like that is still hard
yes.
for a lot of
or
individuals.
Like being the bigger person in situations. Like we hear all the time in our lives of people being like, you know, having a divide with someone. And it a lot of times it is like, well, they never called me and then I never called them. And like, you know, like sometimes in those moments too, it's like, do something that scares you, do something that's uncomfortable, and also like sometimes be the bigger person. Admit when you're wrong sometimes, take accountability. Like those are all practices we can do that like show us that, oh, I took accountability for something and I didn't die. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Yep. No,
you know?
I like it. Okay. It's been, oh, wow. It's only been 48 minutes. This is good.
We're doing good. Since this is possibly our is this our last recording of the year, or are we going to try to squeeze in more?
No, we got to squeeze in more. I mean, I'm just going to say it. We just need to record more. You and I, we have to have it all on the calendar.
Yeah.
If people have made it this far, like text us or message us or DM us. Like, what are some things that we can talk about?
And if we could dress up.
Ooh. Oh, yeah. I'm totally like holiday, Christmas-wise. Yeah.
Holiday themed.
Totally. 100%.
Okay. And I'll get high again for it.
Sure. We could also do, it wouldn't be, I don't know if it would be as great quality, but we can go to different sites. Like we can record at Lost potentially if you wanted to. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
We should.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
What, before our holiday episode,
sure.
What is on your Christmas list if you have one?
Do you have something? Because you asked the question, is there something top of mind?
Like, not really. Like, I might get myself one small thing. I just watched that documentary on Netflix called Buy Now, and it made me feel like shit.
Okay, is it new? Because it keeps on popping up. Yeah. Should I watch it then or no?
No, you should. I think everyone should watch it. Like,
okay.
It sheds so much light on just like the environmental crisis of just like ordering in general. And I think it'll also help some people shut up, because a lot of people are like preachy about fast fashion, which is like please fucking stop buying so many clothes is the message. And I'm not just saying that like to people, like it's to myself as well.
Yeah.
But a lot of people rip on like the like companies out of like China and stuff like Shein and Wish and all these things. And this documentary at least sheds light that like, no, like this is H&M, this is Gap, this is Amazon, you know? So I think it's an important documentary to realize like we are actually all massively part of the problem.
Yeah.
So that being said, like I think as I've gotten older, I don't really have a list. It's more like, what do I need? And I'm going to use Christmas as a time to like I need a sound bar for my projector.
Well, now you're making me feel like shit saying anything that I potentially want.
What is it?
No. Soundbar's
good.
But
it's like that documentary made me be
more mindful.
I shouldn't have a list.
Yeah, no, that's valid.
But I do need a sound bar.
But anyways, soundbar.
And I think that's it. I don't really know.
So kind of related, not in terms of things I want, but just in terms of like saving and stuff like that. One thing that my wife does very, very well is we buy stuff on Facebook Marketplace.
Yes.
Like for Mateo, like I think sometimes there's this like negative stigma of like, oh, I don't want to get something used or whatever. Dude.
Yeah.
It saves money.
Yeah.
It's better on the environment because we don't need to buy all this new stuff.
My argument to that would be like, do you send your child to daycare?
Yeah.
And if the answer is yes,
absolutely.
What the fuck do you think they're touching?
100%.
With all those other little gremlin children.
Exactly.
Spitting on it, shitting on it.
Exactly. Yeah. No. And I also think, and this is something like Caitlin really opened my eyes to as well, is I had this preconceived notion of, okay, well, it's Christmas time or it's his birthday. We need to get him something new. Where it's like, no, who cares? He doesn't care. It's new to him. You know what I mean? So if you're buying, like, she just got something on there for him. I forget what it was. But regardless, let's say it's a little basketball net. He doesn't care that it was used by some other kid before.
No, that's why when you're like a little kid and you go to your like parents' friend's house that you never really go to, you're like, whoa, let's look at all their weird shit in the basement. Like 100%. I think like overconsumption is like crazy at Christmas. I think like it takes people just like breaking that chain of like things. I know a lot of families now that will say like, let's not buy gifts and instead like we're all donating to charity. Yep. I think doing potlucks is a good thing, or like we're seeing a lot on social media of like craft nights, like make Christmas decor or like make gifts you can give to each other. Like I think like people are understanding more now that like Christmas doesn't need to be this time to like blow your bank account and feel like shit about it. But also like we should be back in like the 90s when we got excited about like the lighting of the lights and stuff like that, you know?
I will also say though,
the festive special.
For sure. If it does bring you joy to give gifts, I like 100% do it, right? Like I do love giving people presents and watching their expression, especially if it's something I really put a lot of thought into. Yeah. So I don't, from my point anyways, I don't want to like poo-poo on people if they're like, oh yeah, you're buying gifts. Like please, not at all. As a kid, that was my favorite point. Like, let's be honest, right? It was awesome to get gifts.
I'm not innocent. You should see my Team U card. Like, please. All I'm saying is like, yeah, we as a collective society need to like fucking rein it in. But if you are going to buy people gifts, there's a little place called La Seca that has gift cards.
I mean, we have to say it.
Yeah. Yeah. You could buy a gift card if you wanted to. It would support a local business. It keeps the roof over my head and my staff, but like no pressure.
Yeah. Zero pressure. It does allow me to feed myself
and your baby
and my baby and make a positive change in the London community, but you know, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, if you buy a gift card, it allows me to put food down for my German Shepherd and my 16-year-old Jack Russell who survives off heart medication. But which also costs money. But you know what?
Don't worry about little old us. We'll make it. We'll make it in this cold, dark world.
Everyone listening is like, you two fuckers are both the Lululemon ambassadors. So just shut your pie holes.
Yeah, I'm decked out right now.
Same. I'm not even the Lulu ambassador anymore, and I just ride your coattails still.
Dude, my picture's up. When are you going to go take a selfie next to it?
Right now, and then I'm going to throw paint on it like it's a protest.
Like it's a work of art? Is that why? Yeah, I like it. Okay.
We were like, I like that Brooke and I jumped right into the comments. Everyone's like, oh my God, Isaac, congrats. And we were both like, I didn't get a reveal.
Yeah. See, that's why you didn't. I didn't expect anything.
Yeah, okay. I have high expectations. What can I say? Yeah. You're going to put this face in Lulu, you know? They also don't like when you call it Lulu, so I shouldn't do that.
I know. Lululemon. Lululemon.
Lululemon.
I don't, yeah. Anything else? Thoughts, questions, concerns? Oh, presents? Yeah, so you want a sound bar.
I want a sound bar.
That's sweet. Sonos. I have a Sonos sound bar downstairs.
Okay.
It was great. I bought it used.
Off Facebook Marketplace?
Yeah.
Okay, also, if people want to have a little fun, you can find some shit.
Oh, God.
On Facebook Marketplace. I don't know if I should talk about this on the pod. Should I talk about this?
I don't know. What are we talking about?
So
I don't know.
Things I have seen on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, God.
1, a prosthetic arm carrier. Huh. Not the arm.
Yeah.
Just the carrying case.
Very
People
niche.
can't see what I'm doing, but I'm creating a case. Niche market, I imagine. Second thing I've seen and have sent it to people is you can buy like realistic dolls.
Oh, I don't like that.
That are like baby replacements. Ooh. And I think people buy them as like a way of like, maybe they lost a child. But I don't know. It's really scary.
Sure.
It's scary.
Do you know what's my favorite? Is sometimes you'll see like selling a mini skirt and it's literally the person in the mini skirt. And I'm like, I don't know if this is real or not. Or it'll be like selling my lingerie. And it's literally not just a picture of the lingerie, but it's a picture of them without their face in the lingerie. I'm like, I don't know. Is this fake? Is
no,
this real?
If you look up like mirrors in general, just like mirrors, the amount of people who include themselves in the selfie, zero measurements, just like here it is. And I'm like, I love you.
Yeah, I respect that.
You know, when I was selling some shit in the summer, this one guy was like asking me about these shelves I was trying to sell. And he was like, yeah, like I might be able to come later. Like, can you hold them? Like, I don't know. And like, I'll come. And then another person messaged me and was like, hey, I'll come get them in an hour and I'll give you like $50 or whatever. So I was like, you know what? That's a better offer. I'm going to take that guy's offer. Yeah. So I messaged first guy and I was like, hey, listen, I got a guy that can get here in an hour. So I'm going to take his offer. And he's like, oh, he's like, you agreed to like mine and now you're just going to like take someone else's. And I literally wrote back, this is the Wild West. And then after I was like, what is wrong with me? My full name is on Facebook. I own a business.
Yeah, I like it.
So to that dude that I said that to, I'm sorry, but that was also fucking funny.
Yeah, and it's so I'm like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why we're business owners.
Yeah.
But like every once in a while, I was trying to buy a treadmill on Facebook Marketplace. And there's a specific treadmill that I want. And it's like it barely ever pops up. So I have an alert and it popped up. I'm like, sweet. So it was $700.
Okay.
Okay. And it's probably like a $1,500 treadmill.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I don't really want it. And that's like whoever wants the thing least has the power. So I'm
that's
like,
true.
I'll take it for $500. And the guy's like, no, like it's worth $1,500. I'm like, okay, if you don't get any other offers,
hit me up.
So sure enough, like a month later,
he's like, you up?
He's like, hey, if you want, I'll give it to you for $500. I'm like, okay, I'll give you $550.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Okay.
Boom. Nice guy. So he's like, yeah, perfect. And then he's like, when can you pick it up? I'm like, honestly, because like to try to get something, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, like it's probably going to be a week and a half. And he's like, yeah, no problem. And then he sent me a message. He's like, hey, just a heads up. Can you come sooner? Because someone else just offered $650.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I can come sooner. And then I'm like, are we still good with $550? He's like, yep. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, you are a much better human than I.
Yeah.
Because if it was me, I'd be like, hey, dude, someone's come for $650. Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna.
What's your offer? Yeah.
Whereas this was salt of the earth.
Wow.
Anyways, he did end up canceling anyways. And he's like, hey, my son actually just wants to keep it. So
after all that.
Yeah, but still.
No, Facebook Marketplace is like, I don't know. I just feel like you can be a different person on there.
Oh, 100%.
I also think like I behave differently because usually I'm like dealing with like men. So there's always this fear in my mind that's like, if this turns into a Netflix documentary where this person's going to kill me and shove me into my storage locker and that's it, we're going to make this interesting.
Man, do you know how many times I have to get random things that my wife buys on Facebook Marketplace, though? I can't stand it.
Okay, but this was like my ex and I, because like...
I don't want her to get it. Don't get me wrong. I would rather be the person, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's like, and there's all these memes about it, too, where it's like, oh, like husband going to get all this stuff for their wife.
Yeah, that was like, my ex used to buy so much shit and sell so much shit. So it'd be like... someone showing up at our door that's like, I'm here for the headlights. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, that's me going to random houses in Kamoka.
Yeah.
Just hoping and praying.
What are the odds at some point someone's like, are you Isaac? And do you own Movement?
I know. I'm waiting for it.
You never know.
And I'll be like, yes. And I'm good friends with Courtney from Lost Cycle and you can buy gift cards.
And then they'll be like, is that the girl that said this is the Wild West?
Yeah, pretty much.
But you know what? I like that. So that is a good point. I will kind of jump on that when it comes to Facebook Marketplace. While it could be scary out there, first of all, to all my girls out there, don't go fucking meet strangers. Go meet them at a very public place.
100%.
Don't let anyone negotiate on the spot with you. Fuck that shit. Make sure you have the decided price before you arrive. And it wouldn't hurt to like go with someone. But if in the event that you can't, like be smart, pick a location, send people where you're meeting, all those things to keep you safe. But what I was gonna say is like Christmas decor. Jackpot on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, yeah.
You ready to rip on Michaels for 5 seconds again?
1, 2, 3. Fuck Michaels.
I was just going to scream it. Yes, fuck Michaels, indeed.
Yeah.
You don't need to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a tree because other people are already doing that shit. I got my entire Christmas village which is so cool and like so antique-y. And someone gave me their whole village for $20.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
So like look on Facebook Marketplace, especially if you're going like the vintage route.
Yeah.
If you want to do some colored lights, like it's the 90s.
Yeah.
Like go on Facebook Marketplace. People are moving. People are getting rid of trees, have extra, like that's such a good way to save money and just like not produce more waste.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. And then even do that. People think, oh, Christmas decorations after Christmas, buying it at like whatever Walmart, places like that.
Yeah.
Imagine how much cheaper Christmas decorations after Christmas on Facebook Marketplace would be.
And you can get really like unique, cool things, not just like junky stuff that's going to fall apart.
Loves it. Loves it, loves it, loves it.
Loves it.
Any other thoughts, questions, concerns, things you want to talk about?
I don't think so. I think we got a lot done here today.
We did pretty good, and we did it all in just over an hour.
I love it.
Not bad.
I love it.
Okay, so let's...
holiday episode
in the next few weeks. We'll get it on the
I
books.
feel like we should like incorporate some kind of a like challenge into our last podcast. Like if...
Okay.
What
are you thinking?
A thought of mine was like we could have like an eggnog chugging contest, but like I also fucking hate eggnog and I'm dairy free, so...
So you'd just be throwing up and shitting your pants everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe not.
So we won't do that.
No, that was a bad idea.
Well, I just helped all of the people find their Christmas decorations, so I guess you're fucking welcome.
All right, I'm ending this here.
Okay, love yous.
Bye.
Bye.